Another thing that's a huge benefit about the talent from Latin America is that they're a very warm culture, so they're very easy to connect with, especially when it comes to roles. It could be sales or customer service, any type of roles like intake specialists, or if they're doing case management and they're interacting with the people in the cases, they have great communication talent when it comes to culturally, right? So they're easier to connect with. And also, if you have clients here in the US, is very common and varies. You're in Florida, I'm in California. There's huge Hispanic market, and if you have clients in those markets, they have the benefit of being bilingual and being able to connect with those clients
Yeah,
and
for
prospects as
sure.
well.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time you're listening to the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast, great to have you with us. We have Yener Benaroya. Was that close today, Yener?
I think you did it perfectly this time.
It took me a couple tries, but we got it this time from Virtual Latinos. We're going to hear all about him in 30 seconds. Quick advertisement for the podcast. If you could do us a favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you could click the subscribe button. If you're listening on iTunes or one of the Podbeam or PodSafe, give us a 5-star review. We really, really appreciate it. If you could go to iTunes, if you're a regular, it helps us get great guests. It helps the show stand out a little bit. We really appreciate that. Anyways, without further ado, let's learn all about your journey and Virtual Latinos.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Jay. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to share a little bit more about me and my journey and about Virtual Latinos. So, yes, again, my name is Yener, and I'm the Chief Business Development Officer and the Director of Recruitment at Virtual Latinos. Our company connects the top tier Latin American professionals with companies that need high quality and cost effective remote talent. And as a little bit more about me, I'm a professional. I've spent over 20 years building businesses, scaling teams, and helping companies with their organizational design through optimizing systems, processes, and most importantly, having the right talent for their team. I started my first company at 18, grew it to a multi-million dollar revenue by 22, and built multiple teams across industries. And today I specialize in helping businesses, especially in professional services like law firms, leverage remote talent and the use of smart systems to scale efficiently.
That's awesome. And so many people are looking to offshore, nearshore. What are some of the basics? Where should a firm get started?
Yeah, definitely. One of the first steps is to understand the difference between nearshoring and offshoring, right? The
Sure.
outsourcing concept that started more than 30 plus years ago in Philippines and India. It always existed, but nearshoring is more of a newer, let's say, term or way to optimize businesses when it comes to remote work format. And nowadays, there's so many different services out there that can provide different types of talent from either nearshoring through Latin America, which is finding talent that are going to be in the similar time zone as US or Canada, which tend to be more practical when it comes to your client engagements of them being in the same time zone. But that being said, also there's amazing talent all across the world, right? Now the talent has globalized and it's time to take advantage of that.
That's great. For a law firm, a lot of people talk about the opportunity to hire a graduate lawyer and they work essentially as a paralegal because they can't write the bar in a state in the United States. But it's a tremendous opportunity. You can get an attorney to work on your cases, and you're generally going to pay them a lot more than they make in their country. And it's a tremendous advantage. So, talk about that big advantage for a law firm.
Yes. So yeah, definitely that's one of the most common requests that we get from law firms. They're looking for legal assistance. Similar to, as you shared, people who are studying law that haven't graduated here in the US typically could be hired as a legal assistant, but it has a much higher cost of hiring someone from a service like ours. And the other side of the coin, all majority of the talent that we provide from Latin America, they're actually lawyers in their country, right? So they have the right soft skills to make sure that they can execute the tasks necessary of a legal assistant, and it becomes a more of a cost-effective solution. And yeah, again, they can practically execute most of the tasks that a legal assistant today and in person can execute here in the US.
Great. And is the secret that a lot of these folks have great English, or a lot of them working on Spanish files, or what's the
Great question. Actually, over 95% of our clients don't really care about the fact that they're bilingual or they speak Spanish. They're more interested in knowing that they have a great English fluency. And one of the things that we're really proud of is that we have a very strict filtering process with various different assessments. And one of those assessments is English tests. And we only accept talent that has at least C1 level English, which is advanced level English. That being said, yes, their fluency when it comes to verbal communication or written are very much effective. So they can execute anything that is necessary with any type of clients or processes that doesn't require Spanish.
great? What are the other roles? Obviously, for lawyers, we're talking about getting help with lawyering. I know people use VAs, and we have VAs, and we have people doing relatively light tasks supporting our search and strategy team. What are some of the other roles? I know social media and social media VAs, video. What am I missing?
Yes, there are so many roles. So we currently offer close to 35 roles for all across various industries, but let's focus on the legal industry. Some of the most commonly hired roles on our end are starting from a basic role like as a receptionist to intake specialist, case managers, legal assistants, then can go down to a marketing role such as social media managers, content creators, graphic designers, even accounting specialists as well for their accounting department for finance.
There's a great book. I mention it on every second podcast now, it seems. Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time. And
That's
yeah,
that's a great book, actually. Yes, I know.
and there's one phrase that it was a breakthrough for me in my head, which was 80% done is 100% awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
essentially
80/20 rule.
how I interpreted that is like, if you can get a VA, or some people have multiple VAs, if you can get a VA to get something 80% done, you've got to release yourself from the perfectionism. But you're never
Correct.
going to find someone, especially at a nearshore, offshore kind of rate. You're never going to find someone who can do it as well as you can do it. And frankly, most of your staff can't do the core functions that you're great at anywhere near as well as you can do it. But if it's 80% and you just have to continue to correct and train, and it's 100% awesome, because if you have two people or five people or 10 people doing 80% of what you could do, you're doing several 100%. And I guess that's essential, the course of hiring. But talk about maybe VAs for a little bit, because that's probably a role that everybody on this call, everybody listening to this podcast could appreciate. And definitely the growth for me, going from just someone checking my email to now someone doing scheduling and managing a bunch of small projects, has been awesome.
Yeah, you actually touched a very interesting topic because I know that for all types of entrepreneurs, their biggest fear is delegating, right? They are afraid that somebody else wouldn't be able to execute those tasks as well as that they're doing it themselves. So they tend to postpone of how they can actually delegate and find the right people to be able to scale their businesses. That being said, one of the things that we've been working tirelessly for the last 5, 6 years to be able to change the word actually virtual assistants. We call them virtual professionals because most of the people, the talent that we have in our community, they're over 95% of them are university graduates with at least 2, 3 years of experience. Even when we initially started the company, Latinos are very proud people. They were like, offset with the word virtual assistant. They're like, wait a second, I'm actually an attorney in my country. I have 5, 6 years of work experience. Virtual assistant almost sounds like a secretary, like a lower level job, but they're at the end of the day, they're very much good, educated professionals. So that being said, we can't be afraid of delegating those, not just the lower level task, but even like mid-level or higher level tasks because they have the right skills in place. And the way we trust that these type of talent exist here in the US with good, well skill, they also exist in the nearshoring space. So definitely delegating is a golden rule to scaling your law firm, scaling any type of business, an earlier stage that you actually embrace it, you're able to start to see the impact on your personal life too, right? Because we tie our professional life to our personal life. You end up starting to spend more and more time as your business grows and you're afraid to delegate, and you get stuck into that motion of doing more and more and more. And you start forgetting about your personal life and your family at the end too.
What's the difference culturally? We have a few people in the Philippines. One of our great longtime employees went to university here in Boca Raton. After a year, he didn't extend his visa. His family kind of said, nope, young man, you're coming home. And so he's been working with us from India. We've done phenomenally well with Moldovans, including a couple that are here in the US. What sort of personality styles, but more importantly, work styles do you see from different countries? And what are the
Yeah.
best fit for the law firms, and what are the best fit for some of those virtual professional roles? I like that.
Yes.
I like that term, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to share that because before when Latino started, we had experience hiring talent from Philippines as well. So one of the differences that we've come across dealing with different cultures is that the Latino culture, they have a better understanding of the US culture. They've been brought up, fed, bred, all US culture related advertising, TV, music. So they have a better, closer understanding about the US culture, and they tend to have a lot more family members here in the US, and they've either traveled to US because there's a closer distance, right? So in that sense, I feel like one component is they have a better understanding about the US culture versus when you hire someone other parts of the world, could be Philippines, India, and other parts of the world. And when it comes to work efficiency, one of the differences that we've come across is that, and obviously I'm not trying to diss the talent from Philippines because you do come across with amazing talent as well. But even the people that I know from Philippines, they accept this, is that they have a yes man culture, which means that they will never tell you, no, I don't know how to do this. They will always say yes, yes, yes. And there's a higher rate of failure versus the Latino culture, they're a little bit more upfront cultures. So they're more upfront about being honest in the sense of, okay, they will ask more questions to come to the conclusion of like how I can actually do this versus being afraid to say, no, I don't know how to do this, and saying yes to you and then failing on the task that you delegated to them. So I think when you want to compare a little bit about the cultural differences in the work environment, that's one of them. Another thing that's a huge benefit about the talent from Latin America is that they're a very warm culture. So they're very easy to connect with, especially when it comes to roles. It could be sales or customer service, any type of roles like intake specialists, or if they're doing case management and they're interacting with the people in the cases, they have great communication talent when it comes to culturally, right? So they're easier to connect with. And also, if you have clients here in the US, is very common and varies. You're in Florida, I'm in California. There's huge Hispanic market, and if you have clients in those markets, they have the benefit of being bilingual and being able to connect with those clients
Yeah,
and
for
prospects as
sure.
well.
That's great. So you gave us kind of a tip for the beginner. What's a tip for advanced strategies? If you've already made some strides and have some nearshore, offshore folks, what gets people to the next level?
What gets people to the next level in the sense of like finding the right talent?
If you've got 3 or 4 virtual employees, what gets companies to that? Now you hear a lot of people have 70 or 80% of their staff are not US or Canada based.
Yeah, I think it's strictly tied to systems and processes, and that's something that I'm preaching to all the clients always. And surprisingly enough, I come across with law firms that have been in business for so many years and they don't have any type of case management software in place. And those are the type of things that you need to make sure that in your business it's already well set up so you can actually scale it properly. It could be with a remote team, non-remote team, but obviously having the right systems in place truly helps the remote teams to be at a higher success. So having the systems in place is one thing, and having your processes well defined and created so you can actually scale it efficiently.
And this is a question I like to ask a lot of the folks like myself who consult with attorneys. What's a success strategy or a success similarity that you see in the firms that really succeed and the firms that are around the same size and scope and they seem to struggle?
Yeah, the biggest difference that I'm seeing are the ones that are early adopters to the upcoming opportunities of business, I'm going to call it. And again, I'm going to tie it to the systems, having the most efficient systems in place, leveraging global talent, and making sure that your operational costs at minimal so you can actually grow your business. So I've seen some of our law firm clients, those early adapters, meeting them while they had like one offices. Now they have offices in various states and multiple offices. I've saw that impact that they had because they embraced and they've actually took on the systems and processes and the advantage of having the remote talent at an earlier stage.
Yeah, it's almost, we talk about certain things on this podcast over and over and over when we talk to experts like yourself. And that's technology, systemization, standard operating procedures, EOS, the entrepreneur operating system,
Yes,
nearshore, offshore. If you're not at least investigating these things, but probably figuring them out and getting pretty good at them, having an operating system, having KPIs, key performance indicators, or a scorecard like EOS, there's only so much hard work can do for you. You've got to be smart, you got to be strategic. And when you hear about these things over and over, you got to jump in and try them out, right?
100%. And I'm going to go even one step back to those attorneys that been thinking about how to scale, but they haven't even taken the leap of faith of or where to start is first audit your time. Figure out what's based on your billable hours, what are the tasks that you're doing that could be delegated. If you can just start with that, just identifying what could be delegated, then from there you will be able to start identifying what is the first initial role that I can start to hire. And then from there, you can start looking into obviously to the systems to be able to start scaling a team in place.
There's a great exercise in EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system. I keep, I
Yes.
keep mentioning it, but
Gino Wickman, one of
yeah,
my
if you haven't been on
favorite
the
leaders.
podcast before, there's a great book called Traction by Gino Wickman. But
Yes.
actually, for 90% of the people listening, you want to read this book, which is called Get a Grip.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's a
the
great one too.
difference is like Traction in this book is a lot more technical. It really talks about the system, the EOS system. But Get a Grip is written in the form of a story, a parable. And it's much better first read for the entrepreneur or the founder. But
Yeah,
the exercise I was going to mention is called Delegate and Elevate. Delegate
correct.
and Elevate. And so if you write down on a piece of paper and use the left axis as things that you love doing, and use the bottom axis, the x axis, if that's X and Y, the bottom axis as things that you're really great at. And then, divide the paper into quarters and scale of 1 to 10, everything you love doing in your day, and sit it on your desk and keep notes for a couple days, and things that you're really great at. So in that top quadrant, you can have things that you love doing and you're really great at.
Yeah.
Typically in EOS, there's the visionary and the integrator, and it's called the VI duo, visionary and integrator. So the visionaries, and I assume many of the people listening are visionaries. So you're great at coming up with ideas. You come up with 19 ideas every month and a 20th idea that's actually a great idea. It's really going to move your business forward. And you're great at building strategic partnerships, and you're great at selling the company, and you're great at creating a vision and bringing the vision to your team and to your strategic partners and your clients, right? And so you write down the things that you're really great at. And what you'll find is like in that top quadrant are those kinds of things I talked about for most visionaries. Now, if those things aren't the things that turn you on, but they're the things that your partner's great at, guess what? You're the integrator, which is not a bad thing because every company needs someone to run the day-to-day operations of the business. Anyways, the reason I'm going into this is you talked about that exercise, but it's a great exercise to figure out everything now in that top quadrant. Those are the things you should do. And those are the things you should try and spend the majority of your time doing. You're great at them. You love doing them. You're going to shine when you do those things. Now, in the bottom quadrant are going to be a bunch of things that you're not as good at, you hate doing. For a lot of us, it's accounting stuff, especially the more menial day-to-day tracking, accounting, those kinds of things. Well, great opportunity. Call Yener, and he can get someone and multiple people who can do those tasks. And typically those are the tasks that are the $10, $20 an hour tasks. And you can get someone, guess what? They love doing those things. They love keeping
Exactly.
your books clean. They love when you create a podcast. They love sending it out, formatting all the social media and sending it out to the marketplace. And guess what? It gets done when someone like that does it. So I'm now I'm now the interviewee, not the interviewer, but these are more conversations. But tell us a little bit about how you make those things come to life.
Yeah, you actually pointed out great things, and I just want to say one thing that's very important to your listeners, that I know that some attorneys sees delegating almost like an expense. Don't think about it as an expense. See it as an investment. Investment for your time and for the growth of your firm. So if you take it like if you just flip it over, because the first thing they're like, well, if I delegate this, it's going to cost me this much. Forget about plug it in like as an expense, turn it into an investment for your future and for your company. And with that way, then you're able to delegate and actually elevate like the way you said it. One more time, your question, Jay. I just got really stuck and I got very passionate about what you were talking about. So I wanted to just point that out. And I think it's very, very important.
Awesome. Well, I think we got the basics down here. And for more information, you're going to call Yener and learn all about it. But I always finish out these podcasts with our quick one-liner questions. We've been doing these for about 15 years now, so you can go back and listen to some famous people like Jason Calacanis and Gary Vaynerchuk on their one-liners. But what are some apps or techniques you use for personal productivity?
Some of the apps and techniques, well, I'm really big in efficiency and eliminating distractions. So I do rely on few key tools. Obviously, our Google Drive is my biggest library of organizing notes, SOPs, and any type of strategy docs that I
Yeah,
create. Calendaring system to make sure that you can automate your scheduling and time blocking. It's super efficient for me. Communication, obviously, Telegram, WhatsApp, this is what we use for our business. Chat GPT, I mean, use the tools that already exist to be able to become more efficient, right? I think using AI tools like Chat GPT will create more efficiency even when it comes to brainstorming or writing or creating workflow automations or any other tools. We use project management tools to organize and our tasks and projects. So the key technique is just prioritize ruthlessly and what moves the needle versus what just busy work. Just try to identify that and go from there.
that's a great line. Prioritize ruthlessly.
Yeah.
Um, I struggle a little bit and I go back and forth from written to automated digital. This week, I'm using a paper to-do list and sort of
Yeah.
write that to-do list every night. Like you said, I prioritize ruthlessly. I don't execute ruthlessly on my prioritizations as well as I should. But you talked about calendar blocking as well. It sounds like you're a real efficiency expert. So I want to get the tips. How do you collect your tasks that you need to get done during a period of a day or a couple days? And then how do you prioritize ruthlessly? And then sounds like you do calendar blocking as well. So maybe give us those three chunks of how you become so efficient.
Yeah. I'm gonna be super honest with all of you is that I have an amazing EA. So she has created an amazing Google Sheet where I put all my to-dos and she keeps me accountable and places my to-dos in my calendar so I do not miss on my deadlines. So I have a very systematic way of ensuring that I follow through and actually execute my to-dos thanks to her. So I want to really thank her for being my right hand and ensuring that I
Yeah,
actually get those things done. But yeah, I mean, for busy entrepreneurs, it's a great way to delegate again, even about your to-dos. If you can hire an executive assistant, it's a great solution. And I'm not trying to sell virtual Latinos, but that's one way. And another way is definitely having it all in one place. Definitely try to not keep it. I used to do the same thing about like because it's very common for us to just easily just take notes on a paper. So keep it in one place. If you're gonna always do everything on paper, just keep it in one place where you're always religiously waking up in the morning. The first thing that you look at before you get to work is your to-do list. And if it's on paper, if it's on digital, and you're keeping your accountable and making sure you're putting deadlines to whatever you need to execute.
awesome. Thanks for that. One last question on the calendar block. So you might have 9 to 10 o'clock work block,
Yes.
and your PA, professional assistant, or
Mhm.
virtual professional, she'll put tasks in there, just like
Yes.
list them or. Does she link to the email that you've got to respond to? How detailed is it?
It's fairly detailed. It does has a small description about what the task is, and if there's any other documents that I need to be looking through, she will add the link to those documents. So yeah, there's different way of executing it, but
Yeah,
fairly she makes it very detailed for me to understand exactly what I need to do, what's the goal
yeah,
of this task.
that's great. Next question. Do you have a personal wellness and fitness routine?
Yes, I do. And to keep my mental health and physical health, and I think they go both in hand with being successful in business and in personal life too, right? That helps you show up better for your family and for your team members. And I think that's very important and easy to forget. So I try to do strength training and cardio 4 to 5 times a week. I don't love to go to the gym, but I go to the gym. That's the moment actually I take advantage and listen to podcasts and exercise. I love surfing. I've been surfing for over 25 years. So
Oh,
I like
great.
to go surfing a couple times a week.
And you're based in San Diego, so there's
I'm
some
in
good
based in
surf.
San Diego, so
Yeah,
we're in the right spot to be able to practice that. I love pickleball. Once a week, I try to play pickleball.
yeah,
And then on top of that, this one is really, really hard. I try to place it once a month. Honestly, having clarity breaks, having a space and time where I'm not connected to any electronics, just have a pen and paper where I can just think to myself, connect with myself, almost like meditation, but that's where the most brilliant ideas and strategies comes to me. So having that clarity break is golden. And the last and most important, I think, is making sure that what you eat brings you the right nutritions in place to ensure you're healthy.
any eating tips? What's your go-to plan?
Any eating tips? Yes, I try to do intermittent fasting. So that has been working well for me. And other than that, we try to eat purely organic foods at home, what we bring at home. I love to cook, so I don't like to eat out very often
Yeah,
throughout the week. When the weekend, yes, but during the weekdays, I try to make sure that we cook at home, we eat at home, and try to keep a healthy like habit of eating.
fantastic. Best business books.
Oof, you already said one, Traction by Gino Wickman. I love
Yeah,
it. We've actually implemented EOS Traction 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's really have helped our business scale big time and have a better organization in place.
yeah. By the way,
Another,
we keep talking about it, and I keep talking about it on the podcast. But one of the things I find is like when I ask a room, and let's say there's 100 lawyers in the room,
uh-huh.
who's running the US operating system or a similar operating system, and typically, let's say 20% of the hands go up, and almost always it's the biggest, most successful firms or the
Yeah,
young, fastest growing firms. So success leaves clues, folks. So ask around in the room. What are people doing? What's a great question to ask at networking is what's working for you? Tony Robbins, success leaves clues. Hey, take advantage of the stuff that works, right?
exactly. And definitely, if you know someone or met someone who's running a successful business or a law firm, pick their brain and follow the same trail to be able to reach the similar success, whatever they've done and follow through. And other books that I'm a big fan of Patrick Lencioni. One of my favorite books of Patrick Lencioni is The Five Dysfunctions of a Team.
Great book.
It's a really great book.
Our
I love.
EOS implementer made us read that for our last session.
Uh,
Made us, but we all loved it, so it wasn't an obligation.
Actually, our EOS implementer is making us read it every year. It's like one of our
Yeah,
religious book, and I like it. It's really keep reminding ourselves the value that the information that it brings in that book is golden. So yeah, it's a great
fantastic.
book. I highly recommend it. Sell Like Crazy by Sabri Sui is a great one for those one who are trying to grow their sales. And it's not the last one that I'm going to share is not strictly about business, but Atomic Habits by James Clear is a
Another
great
good
book.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Blogs, podcasts, and YouTubes. Things you subscribe to and it hits your feed and then everything else stops and you listen to.
Yes. So when it comes to this, I'm a big podcast listener. I love Simon Sinek. I listen to him. Jay Shetty, Alex Formosi. Those are like one of my favorite ones. And I follow different industry insights through LinkedIn. YouTube, honestly, I'm not spending a ton of time watching YouTube videos, but I do watch certain things that has to do with business strategy, AI, and leadership, whatever comes across.
Fantastic. And who's your NFL or sports team?
So I'm not a huge NFL fan, to be honest, because I grew up in Turkey and our most popular sport is soccer or how we say football. And in NFL, I like Chiefs, but when it comes to soccer, my favorite team is called Fenerbahce. It's a soccer team from Turkey. And from Europe, I love Barcelona. And I'm very excited that soon we're having our MLS team here in San Diego called San Diego FC. So I guess they're going to be my new favorite sports team.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. Messi came to Miami and
Yeah.
I'm watching a lot more football than normally. I'm like every 4-year World Cup kind of guy.
Yeah. Now it's grown so much here in the US.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see it.
Yeah, it's fun. It'd be amazing to see how far it can go because there's a big tournament this summer and then one more year for World Cup here
Yeah.
in North America, right?
Yep.
Um,
Correct.
by the way, do you listen to Lex Friedman's podcast?
No, I haven't actually.
That's a good one to check out.
I
He,
will definitely
he
check it out.
recently did a 8-hour podcast.
Oh my God.
I listened to about 6 hours of it. He interviewed Elon and the team at Neuralink.
Uh-huh.
Elon was about 45 minutes but it's really amazing. They're like implanting chips in people's brains. People who are blind will be able to see. People who have no function, no limb movement can operate a computer with their brain. And they've really had some success. It's fascinating to listen to that one
It
and
just,
many more.
yeah, it's incredible how the technology is advancing. And I mean, that's definitely a huge advantage that's bringing positive things to the world as well. A lot of people are very afraid with all the advancement of the technology, but I believe
Yeah.
that there's going to be good things coming across.
Yeah, because people think negatively, oh, you're going to implant a chip in people's brains to control them. No, they're going to implant a chip in someone's brain who can't see, and they're going to be able to not only see, they're going to have eagle vision and radar vision.
It's incredible.
Like your iPhone has a better lens in it than the human eye, right? So,
Correct.
what's a great introduction for you? Who should we send your way?
Yeah, that's a great question. I could say that any type of entrepreneur or a business owner or a company that is looking to scale and creating a good organizational design and having the right systems in place and the right people in place, I would be the right person to make an introduction to.
Fantastic. And last question, where can people get in touch with you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Yener Benaroya, and I'm happy to share later my email, or they can reach me by phone, but easier to find
Yeah,
me,
links
LinkedIn.
will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making the time today. This was a lot of fun and great to get to know you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast. Please send questions and comments to podcast@10goldenrules.com. That is podcast@tengoldenrules.com.